I saw women who were professionals, who had been in prison, coming back to inspire us. Education is really the backbone of my transformation in life. The attack on black and brown bodies, that inspires me. The fact that I know, I see you, I see what you're doing to my people, and that gets me up every day.
Hello and Merry Christmas. I hope you're enjoying your festive season. And tonight, brace yourselves for a powerhouse in criminal justice reforms, Cheryl Wilkins, co-founder of Columbia University's Center for Justice. She's a force behind ending mass incarceration and shaping communities beyond academia. Awards like the Brian Fisher and the Sister Mary Nanny honor her game-changing dedication. Hello and welcome to Globe Traktion. My name is Persil Telewa, and tonight I ask you to join me as I unpack Cheryl's mission to revolutionize safety and justice. Shere, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for making the time.
Oh, appreciate you.
Yeah, it's been a while, and you've been, advocating for, people in prison, and especially in their education.
Yes.
I'd like to start from the beginning.
Okay.
Where did you get, the passion to want to be the voice for the women prisoners, especially?
Well, when I was in prison, what I noticed was that all of the women in the prison looked like me. And so it started to get more conscious about who was being incarcerated. It's poor people, black people, people with low levels of education. And we were filling up the prison at alarming rates. I don't know whether you noticed, but in the U.S., women are the fastest growing population to enter the prison system, going in twice the rate as men.
Stop it.
Yes. And we never really hear about that. We never really hear about it because men had a good start on us. But once I looked around and seen who was there, and when I started a college program along with a group of amazing women who fought to bring college back to the prison system because, we felt like we deserved an education if we were going to be there. We also knew that there were studies that were saying that the higher your education, the lower your chances for you coming back to prison.
Great.
And so I wanted to do that. In addition, I saw women who were professionals, who had been in prison, coming back to inspire us. And they also had college degrees. So hey, I can do that. I can do that. So we did a study on the impact of college on women in a maximum security prison. And in that study, I had to interview women. I interviewed 5 women that lived 12 hours away from where I was born and raised in the South Bronx.
Yeah.
And their stories sound like mine.
It was the same. It
was the same. And so then I dug a little deeper, and they were single-parent households. There was poverty. They had sisters and brothers that did not have the means to support their family. And so I was like, there's a war on poverty here.
Yeah.
There's a war on people of color here. And this is a way that's going to change that war, because you can go to college, come out, be productive, and fight, which you already know. Because once you know, you can't take it back.
I know.
You can't take it back. I already seen what that prison system is like, for people like me. And so now I am the advocate. I am the voice. And those voices inside are not voiceless. They're just muted because they don't get a chance to have TV come in and talk to them. But they have me. And I will talk about the issues that impact them. Right?
So you tell me you were imprisoned for 10 years.
Yes.
Shere.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about it and what got you behind bars.
Poverty. And so trying to help my mother, who had a full-time job. It was 4 of us. Hard to put food on the table. Hard to put clothes on our back. Hard to keep a decent house. And it wasn't just me, it was my community. And we did wrong things, just to try to support the family. And so, yeah, we were robbing food, we were robbing clothes, and I got caught up in that life.
What was that, day? I call it the 40th day for you. What did you steal? Where did you go stealing? And how were you caught?
So
What
there's
happened?
this district downtown. It's downtown in Manhattan, that is called where diamonds and gold are at on 47th Street. So the guy that I was with knew, or what they call a buyer, and a buyer is a person that sells jewelry, and he sells it on to jewelry stores.
Yeah.
So the guy that I was with, he knew him. It was really all a setup. But the guy that told us who to rob, nothing happened to him. Like, we were like the middle person, but how would we even know who to go to? And so we robbed the guy that the buyer told us to say, hey, he's got it. And then we give it back to him and he give us money.
Wow. And then what happened? I'm
Yeah.
interested to see
Yeah,
how it
yeah.
all.
What happened was that the police recognized the guy that I was with because he had did it before.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And so once the act happened, then they acted on us immediately.
Wow. So sorry to hear that, but I'm
Yeah.
sure right now it's history. And then you went to prison.
Yeah,
Your parents,
yeah.
your mom by
My
then,
mom,
or
my mom.
she was staying by herself?
Yeah, she was staying with my other siblings.
Siblings, yeah. What was her immediate reaction when she heard what has happened to you?
Sad. I was sad. I let her down because all of the things that we were doing to bring money in the house, she never knew, all of the wrongs that we were doing. She never knew it. And so that hurt her.
She never used to question.
No, because we would make up stories. Like somebody give it to us, or my aunt gave me money, or something like that.
10 years in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was your everyday life, Shere? Because in as much as, you have these other black women in prison, don't you feel like your offense is not as much? Or how are they, dealing with your case, specifically?
I feel like I started to grow. Then I didn't know. I thought that was a norm. I didn't have money for a good lawyer.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the high bail situation. I'm knowledgeable now, but I wasn't then. And
You know your rights now.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
wiser now, and I'm fighting things that impacted me and many others. But then I didn't know. It wasn't until I went to prison and I looked around, and it was just all of us there, all of us. And as I started to go to college, really supported my growth in a way that I started to read more, started to become more socially conscious, started to look at this prison industrial complex because it is a multi-billion-dollar industry that locks up black and brown bodies at an alarming rate and get paid tremendous amounts of money. So yeah, then I didn't know. Now, and as I started to grow, pursuing higher education and reading a lot and learning more, my degree was in sociology. So I started to look at the community and the neighborhoods and things like that. And so there's a attack on us, and we don't even know it because we don't have good healthcare systems. The school systems are crappy. We don't have jobs in the neighborhood. We're not supporting single mothers. Housing is horrible. Yes.
Just perhaps before you take me into what education has done to you specifically, I'd like you to paint me a picture of, at what age did you go to prison and how was life before? You hit that prison wall or you got behind bars, and then how was life in there? just before you paint me a
Okay.
picture of how life was
Yes.
after you stepped out of the
Yeah.
prison.
Before I went to prison, life was hard for my whole community. Everybody was doing the same thing. All of young folks trying to support families who were poor. And the school system was not good at all. Um, People were using other methods to cope with issues,
Yeah.
such as drugs and alcohol, because you didn't even want to look at life.
What sort of drugs?
Uh, a lot of, like my brother, I was 9 years old, my brother died of an overdose of heroin,
Oh no, sorry.
and so that had an impact on me. Uh, a lot of the younger folks, they like to smoke marijuana and maybe drink beer, and the older folks like to sit around a table and talk about their problems and drink, because they can't do anything about it. So they use other coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
to deal with the trauma that they're experiencing and the helplessness that not only they are experiencing, but the hopelessness about the kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then here you are coming out of prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it when you just, were about to complete your term? And the first day you step out of prison and
Sue.
all the changes, and just fill me in because I'm so curious, because you're stepping out of prison very educated compared to the way you went in.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've been taking all your studies, behind bars. Tell me, how was it for you?
I was super excited, very prepared. Had a composition book on everything I needed to do. I filled it up,
Yeah.
and I did everything, and I had to do more because I did everything that I thought I needed to do to succeed. But I'm gonna tell you this story, and I don't really like to tell it a lot because I only like to tell it inside because I want to inspire the
Yes,
women
please.
inside.
Yeah.
When I started going to college, I not only started to go to college as a student, but as a leader in that community. So we built something called a learning center. The learning center had a library in it. It had a computer lab in it. It had uh, tables in it where people could study together. And I was one of the leaders there. So within that capacity, we had a coordinator. She was a civilian. And so she used to work there.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to do something else. And so she built a program on the outside called College Initiative, where she supported people who came home from prison who wanted to continue. Because what happens if you come home and you did all of these credits, but you didn't complete the degree? So now you can go to this program that was
Oh,
there.
wow. Yeah.
So she was there, and she was our first coordinator. The other thing was, I told you I took sociology. I had a sociology professor. Um, I was serious about school. I'm in the front row. I'm doing everything.
Yeah.
I'm serious. It wasn't
Yeah.
no game for me. And when people see you anxious to want to do something and change your life, you can get support. You don't even have to ask. So I never knew that she was my professor, but I never knew that she had real estate. And she had a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
Uh, and so my first day at home, my uh, professor in sociology and my coordinator of the program came to pick me up from prison. And we went to breakfast. And the professor gave me an apartment. I signed my lease for the apartment at breakfast, and she gave me keys. And
Stop
and
it. Yeah.
yeah, and the coordinator uh, after breakfast walked me over to my job, and I became an academic counselor. And so
Just like that, straight from prison.
I came home on a Thursday. I started work on Monday. And so that's my message for the women inside. You never know. You never know. But when you're trying to make change for yourself, people will support you.
When somebody hears about the United States, can you believe the picture that they have in their mind, Cheryl? I'm sure you've heard people talking of, I need to go and chase my American dream, or, I need to be in the US to do this and that. What would you say, as a native and somebody that has gone through it all?
It's horrible. We incarcerate more than anybody in the world. We incarcerate more than anybody in the world. Women are the fastest growing population to go to prison. And this is what you want to come to? And the one thing that folks don't understand, that there's another element to this. Racism.
Yes.
Racism. And so the darker your skin, the more you are looked upon as...
Exposed and
That's right.
vulnerable.
That's
Yeah.
right. And so, yeah, that racism is real there. And the prison industry is real. So much so that there's private prisons. Businessmen are building private prisons so that they can earn money off of that. Prison industry is in the New York Stock Exchange.
Business.
It's a multi-billion-dollar
Yeah,
industry.
because it's so filled up. There's
Yeah.
no space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about, you wanting the reforms when you're already in prison. And just tell me how the introduction of education came about, and then you guys were able to, to study and, all of that.
Okay. One thing I want to mention is that most prisons in the U.S. are put far away from where your family lives. 6 hours, 7 hours, 12 hours.
Is that strategic?
Yeah,
Why so?
it's strategic. Well, one thing is that it builds up the economy that doesn't have anything. So if you, the further, like in New York, the further you go upstate, the economy is bad up there. There's no jobs up there. The farming industry is horrible. The factory industry was horrible. And the prison industry became that business that supported that community. And so, yeah, and that community, what I'm talking about, is predominantly white. So now you have white officers guarding folks who really live 12 hours away in the city.
Yeah.
All right, so you have that dynamic. But the prison that I was in was not there. It was an hour away from the city, and it was in an area called Bedford Hills. And Bedford Hills is an area that's rich. Rich meaning Martha Stewart lives there.
Yeah.
George Soros lives there. Glenn Close lives there.
It's sort of a high-end
Yeah,
neighborhood. Yeah.
and that neighborhood is not reliant on the prison being there. They already have money, so if you're there or if you're not, it doesn't matter, because nobody in their family is going to work in the prison. They already have money. But I don't care who you are as a woman, just like we see now with mothers being ripped away from their babies, it's going to touch your heart. And that's what it did. And so we got support even from the surrounding community with some of the families that lived there, whether it was religious communities, whether it is some of the richer folks with movie stars supported us.
Yeah.
And what helped us even get the college program up and going, we had a group, a storytelling group, a writing group, and they told our stories, and they took it to Lincoln Center and raised money to bring back so that college could be up and running. So I was very lucky to be, if you want to call it that, I shouldn't have been in prison in the first place, but because I was in prison, to be in that area, because we were able to get programs in there that really talks about rehabilitation. Mm-hmm. And it's not talking about just lock up, throw away the key, I don't ever want to see you again, and hide you.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks who were in that prison were able to come out and be productive. But even while there, in your community, there was a culture there. All of the women that I came to Kenya with, I was in prison with.
Same prison?
The same prison. Same prison.
Wow.
And
so you sort of formed, like...
a sorority.
Yes.
A sorority, and we support one another. And
That's
we help
impressive.
each other, even the ones that were left inside, we advocate for them to come home. And we do what we can to support them. And once they come home, then we become a support system for them as well.
Tell me what, taking part in this reform has done for you. And also just let me know what education has changed your life.
Education is really the backbone of my transformation in life. Not just for me, but understanding politics a little more, understanding stock market a little more, understanding, there's 1% in the United States that have the billions. There's 99% that's poor.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to understand that 1% a little more and see all of the things that you are doing to us and against us so that I can then combat that war. Education has allowed me to I'm in Columbia University. I was in prison. Co-founded a center in Columbia University.
That is an Ivy League university.
Yeah, a place where people of color have historically been excluded. A place where you can go. My office is 3 blocks from 125th Street, Harlem. And I'm telling you that some of the folks that live in that public housing had never stepped foot on the campus until I got there. I have summer programs for kids. I have programs where formerly incarcerated folks can come and tell their story, can come present their research, because it's not just about storytelling, it's storytelling with a purpose. I'm not sitting here going to tell you my story if I'm not trying to change policies. If I'm not trying to change a legislature, if I'm not trying to change a wrong that has been haunting us since slavery. So yes, and so yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm there. I thought about not even going there, to go into another school. My colleague and I, he was like, no, this is probably where we need to be, to open up some doors to where the doors that have been closed on my community. And so it's not just my organization, Center for Justice. Now I'm an expert in criminal justice. And so even with research, you're not going to do research on my community. You're going to do research with my community.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're going to be co-researchers.
Yeah.
And so they ask me about folks who do you think that we can get? And I tell them, so I think that one of the things that happens is that until we have clear-cut data, well, we have social media now, so a lot of things are being seen that we knew already, but wasn't believable. Mm-hmm. But between data and social media, we're able to make change. I can sit here and tell you that women are the fastest growing population to enter the prison system. Then I can show you that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I can also show you another picture of women who have been in prison, and they are amazing. Every woman that I brought here, 10 of us, we all have degrees. Some of them are working in the mayor's office. Others are working in academia. Others are working in regional directors of health and mental health. All of the things that we know that hinder our communities and push them into a path to prison, we all are working on that in different areas, in different disciplines.
what gave you that passion, Shere? Because you're not the first one going to prison. You're not
No.
the first black woman, queer,
No.
going to prison.
Right.
But what is it that really pushes you, that really makes you want to, inspire, talk about it?
The
What is
corrupt
the drive?
system, the unjust system, that inspires me. The attack on black and brown bodies, that inspires me. The fact that I know, I see you, I see what you're doing to my people, and that gets me up every day. It gets me up every day. It's not about me it's not about me. It's about my community, my sisters and my brothers, because I have programs inside. I got, right now, if you can believe this, I got a college program. I got tenure professors from Columbia going into 5 different institutions to teach, and they get Columbia credits. They work for me. Isn't that crazy? I hired them.
Yeah.
Tenure professors.
What would you tell to the women in prison right now? And especially, black women with families at home, and not just in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, all across the globe.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Do your best. Do your best you can. Say when you need support, because sometimes it's embarrassing to say, what you've been through, You know, we're talking about women who have experienced trauma, women who have been raped, maybe sometimes even by family members. It's not something you want to say out loud, but until you get to those root causes, you know, the things that bother you, then you can't overcome them. So some of these things that, you know, a lot of our issues start at point of arrest, and it's my job to take that back further. Don't start at point of arrest. Start at root causes. Start at how you didn't support people in poverty. Start at how you support black mothers.
Thank you so much, Shere, for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
I
good
really
talking to
appreciate.
you.
We could speak and speak and speak till tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You know that.
And when you come to New York and your family in the Bronx, look me up. I'm going to give you my card, and I'm going to walk you around the campus and show you some of my programs.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much. Many thanks for staying put, and I hope you learned something from Shere's story. Make sure you join me again next Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Kenyan time only on KTN News. And if you have a story you'd like to share with me, please don't hesitate. Write to me through Traktion at standardmedia.co.ke or DM us on our social media platforms at Traktion. Don't forget to tap that button to follow me on my social media platforms at Persil Telewa on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and TikTok for more or behind the scenes. Many thanks for keeping me company this year, and I want to take this time to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year, even as you stay around with your family. But until then, I hope to catch up with you again, same time, same place. Bye-bye for now.